So, good day everyone. I am Vince Leonard Delicana, the first reporter of this group, and today we are going to discuss about global demography. So, when couples are asked why they have children, their answers are almost always about their feelings. For most, having a child is the symbol of a successful union. It is also ensures that the family will have a successor generation that will continue its name. The kinship is preserved and the family's story continues. So, to gain better perspective, let us examine the differing versions of family life between rural and urban family. So, first is we have urban family. So, a close-knit extended family type of group of 6 to 100 plus persons, usually unrelated, who regularly converge for meals, parties, and various generally non-sexual social interactions and act as each other's support group. So most of them, most of the urban family are educated and professional families with two incomes. However, desire just one or two progenies with each other partner tied to professional jobs. Neither has the time to devote to having a kid. These families also set aside significant parts of their income for their retirement, healthcare, and the future education for their child or children. So next is we have a rural family. So what is rural family? So a rural family, more than half of the Philippines, 100 million people, live in a rural areas and many of them are poor. So agriculture is the primary and often only source of income for poor rural people, most of whom depend on subsistence farming and fishing for their livelihoods. So rural communities often welcome an extra hand to help in crop cultivation. So particularly the planting and harvesting seasons. So the poorer districts of urban centers also tend to have families with more children because success of their members can be hawking their wares on the street. Hence, the more children, the better it will be for the farm or the small by the street corner enterprises. So, if you are going to ask me what is the difference between rural and a rural family and a urban family. So typically, the the urban family, um, they have their areas have high population density, while the rural family have a lower population density. And that's all for my report, and thank you.
The debate on the relationship between population and economic growth is as old as the study of economics. This has started when Thomas Malthus in 1798 published the book An Essay of the Principle of Population. Malthus claimed that there is a tendency for the population growth rate to surpass the production growth rate because the population increases at a geometrical rate while production increases at an arithmetic rate. Thus, the unfettered population growth in a country could plunge it into acute poverty. However, the pessimist view has proven unfounded for developed economies in that they manage to achieve a higher level of economic growth and thus both population and the real gross domestic product or the GDP per capita were able to increase. The prediction of Malthus was revived in 1960s by American biologist Paul R. Ehrlich and his wife Anne wrote The Population Bomb, which argued that the overpopulation in 1970s and 1980s will bring about environmental crisis which could lead to food shortage and mass starvation. They proposed that countries like United States take the lead in the promotion of global population control in order to reduce the growth rate to zero. By limiting the population, vital resources could be used for economic progress and not be diverted and wasted to feeding more mouths. This argument became the basis for government population control programs worldwide. Countries like Philippines, China, and India sought to lower birth rates on the belief that unless controlled, the free expansion of family members would lead to a crisis in resources which may result in widespread poverty, mass hunger, and political instability. As with the case of the United States, they had advocated the contraceptions and sterilization as practice solution to rapid population growth, which started in early 1958. It was being supported by the America billionaires in 2009 when they warned the government how explosion of people would be disastrous to the world. Each country can be the side of adopting and continue the cultural setup. Philippines, China, and India aim to reduce birth rates because they believe that if they weren't, they become uncontrollable. In the United States, they advocate contraceptions and sterilization, which started in early 1958. In Puerto Rico, their support of this cause regards their task as transforming their poor country into a modern nation. Next in line is that the experts blame the Iranians peasants as natural libidinal tendencies for the rise in population and lower castes. Working poor and Muslim as hypersexual were also marked by the Indian government as drainer of the natural resources. Way of other countries can minimize the birth rate. In Vietnam and Mexico, coercive mass sterilization. In China is one-child policy only. So the present global population has reached 7.8 billion and estimated to increase to 9.5 billion in 2050, then 2100. The median age of this population is 30.1, with the male median age at 29.4 years and female 30.9 years. 95% of this population will happen in the developing countries, with the demographers predicting that by the middle of this century, several countries will have tripled their population. So we are now on the Food and Agriculture Organization. Food production, the current tons is 2.1 billions and it is expected to rise at 3 billion. In meat production, the current state is 200 millions and expected to rise at 470 millions. But the growth rate of cereals had declined. In 1960s, 3.5% is available, and in 2020, it decreased at 1.5%. So next.
Bitsy Hartman was also a professor. According to Bitsy Hartman, the genuine solution to the population problem is to enhance living conditions, women's status, the quality of health, and the family planning services rather than imposing coercive population control schemes. According to Hartman, it's not about birth control, it's not about population control, and she even accused the government of using population control as substitute for social justice and needed reforms such as land distribution, employment, the creation, provision of mass education and healthcare, and emancipation. So, the character of her argument lies in the subjectivity towards women. In January 27, 2016, in Genomics 1102A, with approximately 50 people, she said how disadvantaged and unprivileged people are often targeted for population control, women's group in particular. Despite policies, Hartman went on to say that the majority of human consumption and environmental damage is directed at these groups. The world's wealthiest people are to blame. Hartman also described how organizations such as Bill and Melinda Gates Foundations provided long-acting reversible contraceptions to impoverished countries in Africa as means of population control. In the US, similar large programs have been marketed toward communities of color by Buffett Foundation, which is sponsored by investors Warren Buffett. According to Hartman, these programs ignore the fact that overpopulation is not because of a person's childbearing decision. Others also recognize the change in population from rural to urban regions, from 52% to 75% in emerging countries during the 1950s. They also pointed out that while these megacities are now clustered, income inequality, transformation, housing, air pollution, and waste management are all important issues. The median of 29.4 years for females and 30.9 for males in the cities means a young working population. Within this median age, states are assured that they have robust military forces. For population experts, as baby boom generation gets older, for a time it constitutes a large cohort of group working age individuals and later a large cohort of elderly people. This age structure will have economic consequences. Historically, high proportions of working age individuals in a population means there are more workers per dependent than previously. Productions can therefore increase relative to consumptions and GDP capita can receive a boost. These production capacities of these generations are especially high in regions like East Asia, and Asia's remarkable growth in the past half-century closely with the demographic change in region. Reproductive rights supporters argue that if population control and economic development were to reach their goals, women must have control whether they will have children or not. By giving women this power, they will be able to pursue their vocations. This principles empowers women in high-income first world nations and fast developing countries to strengthen their reproductive health laws including abortion. As a result, they were able to sustain growth in part because women were given a choice and easy access to reproductive technologies. Moreover, the more educated a woman is, the better are her prospects of improving her economic position. Women can spend most of the time pursuing either higher education or careers instead of possibly taking off their children.
Religious describe abortion as debauchery that sullies the name of God. Diri sa bata ang ngida ko is that looking a religious perspective like sa kanang mga pari na kunuhay nga kanang dili nga mga idea is that of course dili jud sila musugot nga magpa-abort o ay magpa-abort, diba? Kay dili man pud siya maayo, so dili pud siya makadaot pud siya sa Ginoo sa wealth sa Ginoo. So mao to dili sila musugot or di sila mukuan na dili nila ginaaprubahan ang mga inana nga mga buhat. So this position was politically powerful party because various parts of the developing world remain very conservative. Sa politics, so looking at the political views aspect, political point of view is like, for example, naisa ka lugar nga 2,000 ang tao. Dayon, ang maapod ra sa gobyerno ug hatag ug pagkaon is 1,000 ra. So mao di jud siya maapod. So mao jud to. So maapod na ilang point anong kailangan magpa-abort. Next, Poland, Croatia, Hungary, Yugoslavia, and even Russia complied to impose respective productive health programs by the Christian group. So, kani sa mga lugar is ginaalaw nila ang abortion. So, Muslim countries do not condone abortion and limit wives and domestic course and delivering babies. Sa mga Muslim countries, dili nila ang ginatugtan ang abortion and then ihalang niya ang mga babae dito is that for only domestic course na sa balay lang sila, manglaba, manglimpyo, and delivering babies. Senegal allows also abortion when mother's life is threatened. Senegal only allows abortion when the mother's life is threatened is if mga pagpanganak kay solo or dili kaya sa mother. Dayon ilang choice is ginapa-abort nila or ginapa-adapt. Ay ginapa-abort nila or maon jud na ilang prinsipyo. Sa feminist is means women's fighter means kanang muni sila ang mga tao nga mulaban jud sa rights sa babae are against any population control because they are not compulsory by nature. They believe that government assumption that poverty and environment degradation are caused by overpopulation are wrong. They also point out that the population as contributed behind poverty and ecology. Point the very little evidence isa kuno sa rason nga maglisod ang isa ka lugar o isa ka country is gamay ra kuno ang ilang makita nga ebidensya ang rason ng pagkapobre sa isa ka lugar. Enlarge labor force and therefore increase economic growth and also provide a large domestic market for the economy. Enlarge labor force means example kung ikaw ra isa ang maglihok sa isa ka lugar is like nag kuan ka o example nagtilapia ka kay imo man ang tanang trabaho gamay ra imong ma-consume sa isa ka lugar. So increase economic growth and also provide domestic market for economy. Increase means example na kay mga trabahante mo day ma-increase sa economic growth kay daghan naman ang maglihok so gamay so magdako imong kita, di ba? Dayon encourage the competition which induce technological advancement and innovation. Encourage competition ka ng dahil nanakay mga kompetensya sa mga kompetensya like tilapia mo din ilading kay kanang banguso na nagid kay kompetensya sa pag-provide sa pagkaon, di ba? General there is no consensus whether population growth is beneficial or limited growth economic with the development economy. Not only associated with food problem but also impose constraints on development of saving foreign exchange and human resources. So mao ni siya ang mga negative impact of population growth. Ang point kuno sa pagdako sa tao or pagtaas sa population like konkretong ebidensya na nagdako ang Pilipinas nga also kanino ang mga population growth nga nagdugang lang siya government o pagkaon so mao niya siya ang food problem but also impose constraints on the development of saving. Instead nga magdagan na ang savings sa gobyerno, example dagan nang nanganak imbes katong untang savings sa gobyerno is magamit sa bagong project like bagong hospital or nana or di na nun siya magamit tungod kay nagkadako ang population growth, foreign exchange and human resources. So mautungad so magpalit na sad og gamit ang gobyerno sa bagong para sa bagong naalaot ba, di ba? Kay bagong napidagan ng anak. So mauto, that's all. Thank you.
First, more people leads to greater human capital. There are many factors behind this, but the world's growing population means we have a bigger pool of human capital and the possibility of these cutting-edge discoveries increase. Second, higher economic growth. Population growth will lead to economic growth with more people able to produce more goods. It will lead to higher tax revenues which can be spent on public goods such as healthcare and environmental projects. Third, economies of scale. Farming and industry have been able to benefit from economies of scale, which means as the population grows, food output and manufacturing output have been able to grow even faster than population growth. Fourth, the efficiency of higher population density. When people live in densely populated areas, they are more likely to use public transport. They live in apartment buildings which are easier to hit. In big cities, transport and the delivery of goods is much more efficient. Whereas, for low population densities, the average cost and environmental footprint are much higher. Fifth, the improvement demographic structure of society. Moderate population growth helps to rebalance the population with a higher share of young working people. And last, critical mass. When population grows, it can enable the support of a broader cultural change of activities. Land reforms can slow down population growth, in particular, where relative per capita wealth generates welfare through social status. Once the property rights for land were established, the parent could determine the optimal number of children to whom they transfer their land. Overpopulation causes more competition for employment. Not only does increased competition for work make it tougher to find a job, employers can hire employees for a lower wage because there are more applicants than jobs to go around. It reduces the amount of education that children receive because of the demand of education. The aging of the population affects the demand for all healthcare services, including hospital and long-term care. Older persons use more health services than their younger counterparts because they have more health problems. They are also hospitalized more often and have longer lengths of stay than younger persons.
Overpopulation is not necessarily a problem as it is if it was controlled and also giving each other a good healthy environment. Overpopulation also gives a country a group of people to serve for the land. Also more scope for innovation, invention and creative genius, and also enables specialization and higher population densities more efficient. While land reforms, employment creation, provision of quality education, and better health system are necessary to address the problem of population. It's because if those things were provided, there is a less chances that a country will experience poverty or crisis. People will be able to afford food. Also, well-educated people will also have job and also having better health systems helps to improve clinical treatment for specific groups by promoting better patient outcomes and lower cost for delivering services.
We have the choice to choose whether to continue this problem if there is a solution other than abortion or family planning. But I am a Catholic. This is cannot be happen because it's no longer than solution to the problem overpopulation. The child can be adopted if he or she is not capable. Number 2, because of the employment creation, provision of quality education and better health system, it will help us to avoid the suffering of the people in our country, and it can provide a comfortable lifestyle.
So, a larger population thus has the potential to make life much better as long as we can find the resources to support it. And for question number 2, why land reforms, employment creation, provision of quality education, and better health system are necessary to address the problem of population. So, these inefficiencies have to be addressed to sustain growth and alleviate poverty. Like land reform is the critical policy intervention in the agrarian and urban sectors. So the creation of productive and also for the employment creation. So the creation of productive employment opportunities is essential for achieving poverty reduction and sustainable economic and social development. So it is crucial to provide decent jobs that both secure income and empowerment for the poor, especially women and younger people. And for the provision of quality education, it makes people more aware that the politically vigilant, I mean. So education improves the quality of human population who further contribute in the growth and development of the country. And for the better health system, high quality healthcare high quality health care helps prevent diseases and improve quality of life. Helping healthcare providers communicate more effectively can help improve health and well-being. That's all, sir. Thank you.